There are a lot of videos online about how to prune your tomato plants, and this is one of them. If anything, the fact that there's so many videos showing different ways to prune your tomatoes should be encouraging, in that it shows us that you can do things a lot of different ways and not completely screw them up. One thing that frustrates me about a lot of the videos that are out there about pruning tomato plants is that they overlook, or they don't state, that there are actually two basic types of tomato plants. You have your indeterminate tomatoes and your determinate tomatoes. And the difference is basically like the difference between pole beans or bush beans. Your indeterminate tomatoes will put out their vines, and those vines will keep growing as long as they can. Whereas the determinate varieties will only grow to a certain height and then they'll stop. So it's important to consider the type of tomatoes you have when you consider your pruning strategy. As I prune my tomatoes, I want to increase the airflow around and through the plants. I want to reduce the likelihood that disease is going to spread through the plants. I want to provide the best harvest that I can for my tomatoes, and I want to keep the plants manageable, meaning that I'm able to go in and pick the tomatoes without having to dig through these bushy, viney tomatoes too much. Let's take a closer look at the tomato plant and get familiar with the different types of branches that you'll see on each plant. We're looking here at a red cherry tomato plant, which is an indeterminate variety. There's basically three different types of nodes. You have your leaf nodes, which is basically just this leafy branch. At the junction where that leaf comes off of the main stem, you have this other stem coming up that's producing its own nodes. That is your sucker. And that sucker is basically another plant or another vine that's coming off of the main stem. And it's those suckers that we're going to be talking about pruning here on the indeterminate varieties. And then we have our fruiting nodes, which is down here. And you can tell the fruiting node, it doesn't have the leaves on it, it has flowers instead, and that's where the fruit is going to be produced. I have seen some videos where the recommendation is made not to prune your suckers off, but I think that in those videos the people were actually talking about the fruiting nodes. So obviously you don't want to prune your fruiting nodes off because that's where your fruit's going to come from, but if we don't prune the suckers off, we can get ourselves into trouble. It's worth mentioning that the tomato plants don't always follow strict rules about the nodes. And what I mean is that sometimes you'll get a leaf node that will then extend out and become a sucker, or maybe have a fruiting node on the end, or you might get a fruiting node that extends out and puts leaves on the end. When I first saw that, it kind of freaked me out. I was trying to figure out what kind of mutant thing was going on with my plants. But just understand that don't just look at what's happening at the stem, but also look at what's happening farther out on the different branches. One of the best ways we can maintain the health of our tomato plants is by providing as much airflow through the plant as possible. And cleaning out those suckers is a great way to do that for our indeterminate tomatoes. If we don't prune those suckers, we're going to end up with an unruly plant that's vining all over the place and really becomes a mess and a tangle to deal with. And if any disease gets picked up by that plant, it easily spreads throughout the whole plant when there's little airflow through the plant. So we'll come along here on our main vine and we'll prune off these suckers. Now this sucker here is fairly small, so I can just pinch it off with my fingernails. Here we have a sucker that's a little bit larger, so we can go ahead and clip that one off. And these suckers, it's actually a plant in its own right. So you can actually take these suckers and start a new plant from it. And you can put that sucker right into the soil, keep it watered, and it'll develop new roots right off of that stem. This plant right here is actually one that I started by doing just that. The plant I originally transplanted here died, and so when I was pruning another one of my plants of the same variety, I just took a healthy sucker and stuck it into the ground right there, kept it watered, and now it's growing fine. The reason that many people give for not pruning your suckers is that the more suckers you have, the more vines there are to produce fruit. And that's true, but that's also more vines that plant overall has to feed. And so you may end up with more fruit, but you're going to end up with smaller fruit. So by limiting that plant to a single vine, that tomato plant may not produce as many tomatoes, but it may produce larger tomatoes. I saw a video a while back by someone who grows tomatoes commercially, and they gave what I thought was pretty good advice, and that's something I'm trying this year. And that is, instead of limiting their indeterminate tomatoes to just one vine, they allow one sucker to grow near the bottom and then run 2 vines up. So from each of my tomato plants, I have an anchor down here at the bottom of my trellis, and I'm running 2 wires up to the top of my trellis, and they're going up like a V. And so I'm running my indeterminate tomatoes with 2 vines and putting those wires up to the top of the trellis. I'll share how I am supporting those tomatoes, because I've tried different methods. I've tried a wire to tie them on, I've tried little plastic clips to tie them on, and I realized there was a much easier way. And that's basically, I just take my tomato plants and I wrap them around the wire and use the leaf nodes or the fruiting nodes to support them. And so I'll just keep wrapping this tomato all the way up. I don't have to deal with clips. I don't have to worry about whatever wire or tie that I'm using cutting into those vines, and it supports very well. I already mentioned that another objective of pruning is to reduce disease, and a good way to do that is to make sure to get your plant up off the ground. So down here near the ground, I prune off all of the leaf nodes up. At this point, I'm about 1 foot to 1.5 feet up off the ground. And as the plant grows, I will kind of follow its growth and cut off some of the lower nodes so that nothing is dragging on the ground or getting splattered by the rain. And that helps to keep any sort of bacteria or pathogens from the soil from splattering up onto the leaves of that plant. Higher up in the plant, while I don't make it a practice to prune off those leaf nodes, when they do start to cross over each other and they're touching and kind of limiting that airflow through the plant, then I will go ahead and start to prune some of those leaf nodes just to keep the plant nice and open. Especially since I'm running 2 vines going up, those 2 vines, as they're close together here at the bottom, may have a lot of crossing leaf nodes. So I just clean that up a little bit. Now these Roma tomatoes are a determinate variety, which means they are only going to grow to a few feet tall, and then that vine is going to quit growing length. So if you prune these tomatoes the same way you would an indeterminate, meaning that you would limit it to just one vine, you're obviously going to limit your tomato production significantly. So for these determinate tomatoes, instead of pruning off the suckers, I will often come in and prune off the leaf nodes. And by doing that, I can improve the airflow through the plant, but by leaving the suckers, I allow that plant to get more bushy and produce more fruit. If the plant seems to be getting too dense and too difficult to manage, then I will come in and prune out some of those suckers as needed, but that is not my primary focus when I'm pruning the determinate tomatoes. And just like the indeterminates, I want to keep the leaves off of the ground, so I prune all of the nodes from the ground up. In this case, I'm using these tomato support cages, so I use this bottom rung of the support cages as kind of my guide, and eventually I'll prune off all the nodes up to that point. As long as I'm talking about growing tomatoes, it's worth taking a little time to talk about feeding tomatoes. As an organic gardener, I think the best way I can feed my plants in general is to build good soil and let the soil naturally nourish the plants. But sometimes, especially as you're building that soil, it can be necessary and helpful to feed the plants. Any fertilizer you use is going to have a 3-digit code, the NPK code. Those 3 numbers from the first to the last indicate how much nitrogen is in the fertilizer. The second number indicates how much phosphorus is in the fertilizer. And the third number indicates how much potassium is in the fertilizer. And the way I remember what each of those is for is to think of those numbers as up, down, and all around. The first number, the nitrogen, helps the plant to grow leafy greens up above the ground. The second number helps the root system of the plant to grow and develop. And the third number is for the fruits and the flowers all around. When you feed your tomato plants, if you give them a fertilizer that has high nitrogen, They're going to produce a lot of vining and a lot of leafy growth, but not so much fruit. What you want to give them is a fertilizer that may provide some nitrogen, but also provides a lot of that third number, the potassium. This is not a paid promotion, but I want to mention my favorite fertilizer, which is AgroThrive OMRI certified organic pre-digested fertilizer, and it comes in two varieties. They have for tomato plants and others that produce fruit and flowers, the fruit and flower mix. And it's not a strong fertilizer. I'm going to show it has the 3 numbers on here, and you can see the numbers are 3, 3, and 5. So our nitrogen is a moderate level, phosphorus is a moderate level, but then that third number is a little bit increased to help produce that fruit and flower on the plant. So this is what I use when I feed my tomatoes, my peppers, my squash, anything that produces a flower or fruit. That gets the AgroThrive fruit and flower mix. They also have a general purpose for everything else, which is a 3-3-2. So the same levels of nitrogen and phosphorus, but a lower level of the potassium, because if the plant isn't producing fruit and flowers, it doesn't need that potassium as much. I will put a link in the description where if you want to go out and get some AgroThrive product for yourself, you can do that. Earlier in this video, I said that there are many ways that you can grow your tomatoes. Just because you don't do it exactly like the next guy, you're not necessarily going to screw them up. But there are some things that I would say are important when it comes to growing tomatoes. One of them, as I kind of touched on already, is do not prune your determinate tomatoes to a single vine like you might do with your indeterminate tomatoes. That's the voice of experience right there. At the same time, don't allow your plants, even your determinate varieties, to get too dense and unruly. It just makes it hard to harvest when the plant is just this mass of leaves, and it makes it very easy for disease to spread through that plant. I mentioned that on the indeterminates, I will typically prune the suckers, and on the determinates, I will prune the leaves. And sometimes, to improve airflow, I'll prune the leaves off of the indeterminates as well. But you'll notice I didn't mention pruning the fruiting nodes, because obviously that's the part that's going to produce. Unless it's absolutely necessary, leave the fruiting nodes alone, at least until they've produced fruit. Once they've produced fruit, especially if they start to branch out as a leaf node or even a sucker, then you can go ahead and clean those up. And finally, like I mentioned with both varieties, don't allow the leaves to touch the ground. That's a quick way for any pathogens in the soil to make their way up into the plant. And you want to get that clearance fairly high up so that even any rainwater is not splattering dirt onto the lower leaves of the plant. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, you may also like this video that YouTube has selected especially for you. I now offer memberships on this channel. If you were a member, you would have been able to watch this video before it went public. And I'm working on options to provide more of a community for the channel members. You can click the join button below this video to sign up. Thanks a lot for watching. I'll see you next time.